Hello and welcome to finals day of the Qatar Mobile Open of 1997, the first week of the new ATP Tour. And a big day in the life of Britain's Tim Henman as he faces his first ATP Tour final against a man who's been there and done that, the former world number one, Jim Courier. They'll be doing battle here at the Khalifa International Tennis and Squash Complex in Doha, the capital city of Qatar. Thomas Muster was the number one seed this week, but like so many of the seeds, he departed early, beaten by this man, Jim Courier, in the quarterfinals. Tim Henman, well, last year he reached 7 semi-finals, but lost the lot. Now, though, he's made the big breakthrough. Sure to reach a new career high, whether he wins or loses today. Tim spent the morning out on a boat watching his coach David Felgate do some water skiing. Courier, though, has been all business this week. John McEnroe gave some of the local kids some coaching, and everyone's enjoyed visiting a very different stop on the ATP Tour from the ones the players go to week in and week out. So a 4 o'clock start for the final. And the sun already low in the sky is Jim Courier, the former world number one, 26 years of age, from Florida, ranked 26 in the world, but if he wins this match, will move back into the top 20 and will almost certainly be seeded as a result for the Australian Open.
Totally purposeful. Tim Henman, his opponent, found time to enjoy himself at the hotel.
And here's Tim Henman,
And so it's going to be
22 years of age, born in Weston-on-the-Green, Oxfordshire, now living at the family home, at his own flat, I should say, in London. Sorry about the slight confusion there. It seemed as if we picked up our colleague Jerry Williams talking to local television for a moment or two. So there's not a lot between these two in terms of ranking. Courier at 26 and Henman in rank 29 at the moment. But in terms of finals, well, it's poles apart, isn't it? This is a 32nd final for Courier and a first for Henman.
Yes, it can be a distinct advantage. Of course, it can also be a tremendous disadvantage because you reach a stage in your career when you can actually have been in perhaps too many finals and your light is growing dimmer. Although I don't think that applies to Jim Courier. It's perhaps one way for the Henman camp to be looking at it. What I do think is that it's a terrific contrast in styles, and although it may not be the final that some people will have expected, I think for that reason, to my mind, it makes for, I hope, a fascinating contest.
These two meeting for the first time. They, funnily enough, flew out on the same plane from London together. They met up at Heathrow, where Jim was connecting through from Florida. You can see the wind is with us, and it's really been around for the last 3 days. Courier says that's to his advantage because coming from Florida, he's used to living by the sea and playing in windy conditions.
Yes, I think from a number of points it can be to his advantage. Henman, as he is here, I imagine will be trying to play the net a lot more, for instance, than Courier does. And as such, volleying can for a net man, wind in the volleying in the wind can be a little tricky. You have to play that much finer, that much more crisply, and the wind dragging balls out may be just more of a hindrance to Henman than it is to Courier.
They practiced a little bit together, these two, earlier in the week, and also they practiced together when they were both playing in the Grand Slam Cup in Munich last month. Sorry, we've got What sounds like a little bit of interference on the sound. We certainly have it in our ears. And we hope that that gets sorted out very rapidly. The winner today will take away 84,000 US dollars, 190 computer ranking points, and the runner-up 59,600 and 138 ranking points. Jim Courier mentioned this is his 32nd final. He's won 19 of the previous 31, including 14 on hard courts. But his record on hard courts last year, well, 10 wins, 7 losses. Henman's record on hard courts last year, 23 wins and 16 losses. And of course, they both have a perfect 4-0 record this year. Plenty of expatriate support for both camps. Plenty of stars and stripes and Union Jacks around this centre court, which holds around about 5,000 people. This is the 5th edition of the Qatar Open. The previous champions, Boris Becker, Stefan Edberg twice, and Peter Korda. Oh, yes. War paint has been applied.
Yes, and I think listing those champions, I think they tend to play really more the Henman type of tennis, don't they? They're more of the serve volleying type, although Korda perhaps more of an all-round player, but Becker and Edberg certainly. But Courier has been undoubtedly the most impressive player of the week. Just his progress through and the fact that he's beaten in these last 2 matches 2 former French champions is indicative of that fact.
Seeded 8, Henman was the 9th highest ranked player in the draw, so he just missed out on a seeding spot by 1. Courier last year, just the 1 title to his name in Philadelphia, but a man who traditionally does well at the start of the year. As his route through, started against Sheng Xiaokan, had a marathon tiebreak, 12 points to 10 he won there. Then he beat the qualifier Razvan Sabah from Romania, and then those 2 wins that Fru was referring to over Thomas Muster and Sergi Bruguera, 2 former French Open champions, as of course is Courier. If Henman wins today, he will move up to roughly 22 in the world. If he loses, he'll, we think, be about 24, which will be a new career high for him when the rankings come out tomorrow. He started off with wins over 2 qualifiers, Hilbert Wildschlink from Austria and then Tamir El-Sawi of Egypt. Then he beat the 5th seed Magnus Gustafsson, having survived 3 set points in the 2nd set, and yesterday beat the Moroccan Hikam Arazi.
Yes, I think Henman's form has been good without being consistently good. He's had ins and outs and ups and downs, and fortunately being in and being up at the right time, which is very often the key to good tennis.
Sheikh Mohammed bin Eid, chairman of the Youth and Sports General Authority of the state of Qatar, is the guest of honor this afternoon. And Rudi Berger from Germany taking charge of the match, which is the best of 3 sets, tie breaks in all 3 sets if we get to 6 games all.
Nobody that Courier's played thus far plays the brand of tennis that Henman does. Henman, I imagine, will be coming at Courier most of the time. I suppose really of those that he's played, only Schalken could be said to play somewhat like that. Muster and Bruguera both preferring to play from the back of the court.
The final of the 1997 Qatar Mobile Open, and it's Jim Courier to serve. Well, Henman quickly into his stride, and we could well have a battle of in-to-out forehands today.
Yes, Henman strikes that shot well, but not as consistently as Courier, so that if you're a Henman fan, one would hope that it doesn't evolve into that battle.
And the one thing that I thought Courier played quite superbly with yesterday in his semi-final over Sergio Biguer was his drop shots, with off the ground and on the volley.
Yes, and also hitting this shot particularly well. What I liked in this rally was Henman's response to that forehand cross-court by Courier. It makes it that much more difficult, really, for Henman to pick where Courier is going to play. In the past, one's expected him to go to the right-hander's backhand most of the time with the forehand.
Coached by David Felgate, who's here with him. Jim Courier now being coached by Harold Solomon, who hasn't made the trip. Oh, what a start by Henman, and 2 break points.
Brilliant return of serve. Bruguera was not able to break Courier's serve.
Both men have just lost their serve 3 times during the 4 matches they've played to reach the final. So that's a tremendous boost for the Henman confidence to break serve in the first game of his first final. It's no wonder the Union Jacks are flying quickly.
Well, a little taken aback, there's no doubt about that, Courier. And what I think I perceived in the Henman game was not a desire to rush in at every availability to the net. The one time where he did come forward, he came forward behind a very deep shot. So I think he and Felgate seem to have devised quite an astute plan here, because Courier very often will like people coming at him, particularly if they don't come up on particularly good shots. So perhaps their strategy is only to come in on something really good.
I know there's been a huge amount of interest in Tim's progress this week back home in the UK. Joe Lynch, the member of the ATP Tour staff at the tournament, has been inundated by calls. And it's nice to have some success to follow after the, well, frankly, debacle of the cricket team in Zimbabwe, which Mr. McMillan has been giving me a very hard time about. Well, you thought he got himself into a tangle there, but he certainly extracted himself.
So very important in the wind to embrace the ball, get close to it. And what that really means is moving the feet well. Now, when Courier lost his serve to Muster, he broke back immediately, nullified it.
Yes, because that was also in the opening game of the match, wasn't it? Courier not ready. Maybe there was some movement behind Henman. Well, did it catch the line? Nope. I thought it was going wide, but I didn't hear a call.
Yes, I played me out. And good cover by Henman, anticipating the Courier two-handed backhand to come cross-court.
No, it's long.
Well, he did well to keep this two-hander, but once again it coming cross-court. I think Henman's got to be alive to that. And after that, with Courier anticipating the drop volley, that's all that could arise. He was well on top in the point.
Rather snatched at that one because it wasn't the greatest of approaches from Courier, but good enough to gain break-back point for the American.
Quick roll reversal there by Courier.
First ace of the match.
Well, it's been a feature of his play this week. That's what I was partly referring to. He's in and out, coming up with the in shot when he looks as if he's going out or about to lose a serve.
Courier also looking eager to get in behind anything short of a length.
Well, it's a serve that Henman used a lot to Magnus Gustafsson, who's better on the forehand, going in on that side and then looking perhaps for the weaker wing, slightly weaker wing for the next shot.
So 2 break points, both saved with aces. Not a lot that Jim Courier can do about that. 4th deuce. Oh, that's a fine shot.
Yes, it can be a liability at times, and very often was during the course of the last year and a half or so. But this week, Courier has been hitting that cross-court backhand really pretty well.
So Courier takes advantage of his third break point, and both men start by losing their opening service games.
Yes, it's ironic that it should be following the same pattern as the Worcester match with Courier. Of course, a really powerful server as well, Courier. It's a little like Lendl. I think it's a part of his game that's not rated and should be, and served particularly well this week.
Caught here as a rebound ace, exactly the same as they'll be playing on at the Australian Open, starting a week tomorrow.
Well, Courier taking just a bit of pace off that one, noticing on the first point that he'd missed the first serve by miles, hitting that with a lot more top, determined to get it in. Once again, missing by quite a way. Henman's got to make up his mind quickly whether he's going to drive the ball or chip it.
Well, Courier really is struggling, isn't he? Again, a massive miss. Just to tell you that the doubles title was decided yesterday, and it went to the #1 seeds, Jaakko Elting and Paul Haha, 6-3, 6-2. They beat the Swedes, Patrick Fredriksson and Magnus Norman, who we saw beat Jim Courier and Michael Stich earlier in the week. Well, this would break the pattern of Courier and Worcester, because after the initial breaks of serve in that particular match, we had a run of games with serve before Courier got the decisive break to win the opening set.
Well, I suppose by the law of averages, Henman was likely to see a far better first serve from Courier. The pacey serve was either going to land in, or Courier was going to try a lot more top on it.
Well, that's a little outrageous. Second break point. Oh, and that's a great shot. So we start with 3 successive breaks of serve. And it's 2-1 to Tim Henman in the opening set. The question now is, can he hold serve, I guess? We'll be back right after this. 2-1 to Tim Henman, first set of this Qatar Open final. All 3 games having gone against the serve so far. Well, Courier thinks it was wide.
Yes, I thought it made enough of the line, and certainly it was that close that there's no way umpire Berger was going to overrule.
Looking at the replay, it looked to be on the line. You can see from the shirt there of Tim Henman through just how windy it is. What are the secrets of playing on a windy day like this?
Well, very often you've certainly got to hit through the ball. You don't want to be at all tentative, because any tentativeness and the ball is going to get flung out by the wind. You also want to generally get in a good percentage of first serves, take pressure off the second serve, because again it can wobble in the wind. Also, I believe you have to get close to the ball, a little closer than you might normally do. And what that of course means is very good foot movement. What Henman is certainly doing today is garnering points on his opponent's serve. He's won more points on Courier's serve, if you can believe it, than Bruguera did all match. And in 10 successive games against Muster, Courier only lost 11 points. Well, it's the second time that Courier's looked as if he's waited for a cross-court forehand from Henman, and that time getting it.
So Tim Henman becomes the first player to hold serve, and he moves into a 3-1 lead. Very competitive opening 20 minutes they've been. 21 degrees and 61% humidity today. Certainly once the sun has set, it'll get quite a bit cooler with this breeze. And that's, as Fru puts it, Courier's signature shot. Into out forehand.
Yes, and much more signature tennis from him, at least a la this week's performance so far. 2 first serves in. Even though rebound ace has a sort of a rubbery finish to it and the ball can bounce up quite high when topspin is given it, it can keep quite low if you slice the ball.
Thank you.
Well, Courier will be much happier now that he's managed to hold serve for the first time, but it's still Henman who has the advantage, leading by 3 games to 2 in this opening set with the break of serve. Our dear friends, the mobile phones, but at least that one is being used at the change of ends. Thank you for choosing Eurosport and our coverage of the final of the Qatar Mobile Open. David Felgate. Gosh, he's going to get a bit chilly, I would have thought, in short sleeves and shorts once the sun has gone. Henman leading 3-2 first set.
15 low.
And a third ace. Whoever wins this match won't be the first winner on the ATP Tour this year. Todd Woodbridge has won the title down in Adelaide, beating his fellow Aussie Scott Draper very comfortably, 6-2, 6-1. Well, 3 double faults now from Henman, 1 in each game. So far this week, he's not really been troubled by double faults.
Good bit of judgment by Courier. Henman last year averaged 3.7 doubles per match. Of course, one really needs to know how many per set, and we don't have those informations.
He's saying yesterday after his win over Arazi that one thing he's very pleased at is the work he's put in since the Grand Slam Cup on serving and volleying seems to be paying off.
He seems a little quicker in, and that last volley was testing me to that. I think even with the doubles, he's really been serving well. And of course, if you're serving well, the smash tends to follow as well. Nice bit of timing. And look how close he is to the net. He's well inside the service line playing that volley.
Thank you.
Great features about this event is the cosmopolitan nature of the crowd.
Advantage Courier.
Well, the backhand volley has actually been pretty good for Henman, but having made I think a forced error on the first backhand volley, that was a tentative one that time around.
Yes, it was. There may well have been just a change of mind. He's been playing the one to the forehand side very well. It might then have just crossed his mind so quickly that he should try and get it to the weaker wing of Courier. Certainly held back from it.
Break point. Certainly catching the habit of saving break points with aces. That's the third time he's done it.
Gives him a real boost, and quite demoralizing, of course, for a good returner like Courier.
Well, having missed a sitter of a smash against Magnus Gustafsson on what we thought at the time would be a very big point, it was break point in his favour deep in the second set. He's obviously decided not to let them bounce today because he missed that one off the bounce.
A real change of tactic there, and break point down, going for it, but on that occasion kicking, and not a bad tactic, just needed a bit more muscle on the volley.
Advantage Courier.
Second chance for Courier to break back for a second time.
Well, this is not only courageous but really outstanding serving by Henman on that occasion, going straight in, so soliciting really a very short reply. But the forehand, although he might have missed one in this game, I think is working better than it has been this week. The backhand has looked pretty good all week.
Well, the surprise tactic of going in behind a second serve to the forehand worked a couple of times against Gustafsson, but it's an awful risky one against this man. Third break point.
Well, a terrific response on the backhand there. Just when Courier felt that he'd got Henman pushed back, Henman immediately responded with a terrific timed backhand.
Deuce for the fifth time.
Well, it was a difficult one to tackle because Courier kept it low, and Henman prefers, there's no doubt, that backhand up the line.
You were making the point yesterday that Courier really has developed this one-handed backhand slice.
Yes, it's a difficult shot really to contend with, because you've got to make all the pace when he takes so much off it.
3-all then. And I suppose the one thing that would worry Henman is that he's had points to win 5 of the 6 games, but has only won 3 of them.
Yes, on the other hand, of course, he's got to look positively at it and say, well, at least he did have points to win it, rather than just got blown away on his serve.
Well, so often those complete mishits turn into very awkward shots to deal with.
Little apology from Courier.
And a first ace from Courier.
Henman generally will strike more aces per match than Courier.
So Jim Courier moves ahead for the first time in the final. As he puts together a run of 3 successive games to come from 1-3 down to now lead by 4 games to 3 in the opening set. And one of the Dows in the harbour. Not too far from the sea here at the Khalifa International Tennis and Squash Complex, about a quarter of a mile from Courier. He's taking a bathroom break.
It always interests me how today players are, well, firstly off the court much more often for bathroom breaks, but then so early in a match too. The liquid intake is much greater than used to be recommended.
New balls in play, and it's 3-4 in the opening set.
Second time he's used that. It's such a useful one into the two-hander on that backhand side, swinging in. You've got to be Michael Jackson to make room for it.
15-30.
I would have said Fred Astaire myself, but
Got to get with it, Mercer.
far too old for that, Frew. Just lifted that. You can tell that Henman is making a conscious effort to play as many volleys as he can at the Courier backhand, and no doubt that's the right tactic. It's the weaker wing.
I think he did particularly well to win that point, because in this game, for the first time, it seems to me he's actually thinking a lot more about his game, not just playing instinctive tennis. And he doesn't seem quite as confident as a result.
For all then.
Stop.
39 minutes gone, and it's been a really tough opening set for both of them.
And I think really that last shot of Courier's, his inability to hit double-handed backhands in down the line, is one of the reasons really why he's floundering a bit in the tennis world from the dizzy heights that he had once reached.
And that's now a hat-trick of aces, because of course he came up with 2 at the end of his last service game.
Please.
And there was a certain energy about Courier in that rally, so I think Henman doing particularly well to win it, and win it by going to the opening on his opponent's strength.
Yes, that's on the line. This is the end that they both seem to be struggling to hold serve on. And we noticed that when Henman played Gustafsson, it's the end into the wind. Have a look at David Felgate, whose wife Jan is Tim's agent. That's an excellent serve to save the first of the 2 break points.
Yes, he has that ability, of course, does Courier. What Henman has been doing so well in this game is keeping the ball, when playing the backhand, nice and deep to Courier's backhand, so that if Courier does have to run round, he hasn't got a short shot to hit on the forehand.
Oh, that's a huge forehand from Courier.
And as a result, if the old computer's working here, Courier, if he is going to get something short and something that he can belt, he's going to lay into it.
Well, I must confess we both thought that was wide. And certainly so did Henman. But it goes down as a 4th ace.
Yes, it's a big call, that.
So Courier comes from 1540 down, perhaps with a little bit of luck on the ace down the centre. But he played the 2 break points really well. And it's the American who leads 5-4 in the opening set. Welcome back, 4-5. First set, which means Tim Henman here serving to stay in this first set, the Qatar Open final. ace number 5.
What I think Henman is doing a lot better on the serve than he has been this week is just staying up on the ball a little bit longer. And almost as if he's hitting up, you're sometimes told, imagine a mound between you and the service line on the other side. So hit up and over that mound.
That backhand cross court has certainly been working for Courier this week.
Yes, and Henman really should just be covering that side and telling Courier that if he wants a backhand, he's got to either come back to him where he's standing or else he's got to go down the line.
It's so unusual for Courier to play a rank bad shot on such a big point. Second serve to his favourite forehand. At 30 all, leading 5-4. Five games all, and that's the first time that Tim Henman has held serve from the camera end, if I could put it that, as opposed to the royal box end.
And the difference very much, as you say, Courier's inability to convert on that serve to the forehand. But just the irony, when given the chance by Henman, Courier felt that he had to take it aggressively, whereas the chances are if Henman had put in a better serve, Courier might just have pushed it back in and been in a lot better position to win the point. All the mod cons imaginable.
Yes. I'll send you out to confiscate the phone for you, all right?
Yes, I must admit, I thought it was in.
Henman not of that opinion, but the overrule from Rudy Berger. So it's a let first serve. Oh yes, straight down the line, which is always an effective shot against Courier because he's always edging over to his backhand side. You look where he's standing there.
Yes, he leaves a lot of court open. And so even though you don't necessarily have to aim for the line, you've got a terrific expanse of court. Just as well, I think he's getting these shots on his backhand because he's certainly a little concerned about the forehand side, Henman. I made the point earlier in the week, though, that he seemed to be hitting his backhand so well that sometimes you just make a little adjustment and it affects the other wing, the forehand, where he's, I think, normally better and, of course, does take more risks, like so many players.
Both of them have now served 5 aces.
Courier,
6-5 then, Courier leads, and it will be up to Henman to try and hold serve and force this opening set into the tiebreak. We'll be back after this. And Henman must hold serve for a second time to save it.
thank you.
5-6.
Law 15.
Is he coming across the ball as opposed to hitting through it a little?
Yes, he's really betwixt and between in it. He needs to make one very quickly.
Call, sorry, through a little call of come on from Courier as he senses this might be the moment.
Yes, I was thinking that Henman looking a little more assured when he's playing his forehand to Courier's backhand side.
And played that carefully and cleverly. And another forehand error when going across court, and that one gives Jim Courier set point. It is extraordinary that 4 of Henman's aces have come when break point down.
Well, even if he should lose this match, I mean, that is tremendously encouraging. It's a sign of courage. It's a sign of a really good player to be able to do that.
As we'll always remember, he saved 2 match points against Evgeny Kavelnikov at Wimbledon last year with 2 aces. It's the forehand that's the Achilles heel at the moment, and normally, of course, that's his stronger shot. Second break point, second set point.
Thank you.
Oh, Courier really kept the pressure on. That was a tremendous bit of movement to get behind it for the defensive lob, and in a situation like that, it's almost hardly defensive.
Everyone's getting a little nervous.
Advantage Courier.
Set point number 3.
One just wonders whether the thought doesn't go through Henman's mind that he might well serve volley occasionally behind the second serve.
Well, he found the forehand just when he needed it, my word.
On the other hand, why bother to deny yourself the chance of missing a forehand when you know full well that when you are down a big point, you come up with the goods.
So 3 set points saved. He saved 3 against Magnus Gustafsson in the quarterfinals. And that's a 4th double, and it brings up a 4th set point.
Well, if Courier had to get out of the way of that, having hit the net, had it hit him, would have been a let.
So there's the first set off another Henman forehand error, and it's the stars and stripes that are flying at the end of the set, which goes to Courier by 7 games to 5, just a minute short of the hour.
Yes, it's a bit of a dilemma, really. Of course, the reason I suggest he might well serve volley on the second serve is to prevent himself having to hit those ground strokes, and also the fact that he has got good volleys.
Is it now simply a question of confidence when you come to hit the forehand?
Very much so, and of course the wind plays its part. But it seems that the inside-out forehand is hitting well, and when it comes to hitting the cross-court, he's almost playing the ball with an inside-out feeling. The idea very often, if you are a little worried and a little tentative without pushing the ball back, if you just pick a far bigger target and hit it, in other words, hit a few successively down the middle of the court, but hit them.
30-15.
Courier missing one of his into-out forehands.
Goodness.
We've certainly seen some interesting hats this week. And is history going to repeat itself? Can Henman break in the opening game of the second set as he did in the opening game of the first? The answer is he can. Of course, after he'd lost the second set to Hikam in the semi-finals, he bounced right back by a breaking serve. And a further example of the excellent temperament of Tim Henman, but he's still got a big hill to climb if he's to get back into this match.
Yes, and Courier really will be certainly very angry about the fact that he missed that big forehand. You can see Henman using the wind well there. He might well have been in behind it, but at least this gives him the satisfaction of having made a forehand, even though he doesn't hit it particularly well.
1-love Henman's second set. This is opening service game. In the second set, he couldn't in the first, having broken then. Not enough depth on the Henman approach shot.
No, it was a little similar to the forehand hit in the previous game, far too short, and it gives Courier so much time to pick his side.
Ace number 7.
Are you going to say it, or am I? Yes, he's been doing this far too often this week, getting into a habit of playing these little drop volleys. And it's something that even Michael Stich is in danger of overdoing. You certainly don't want to get into that train of thought every time you go to play the volley, particularly when you've got a good deep volley as Henman has.
Advantage, Henman.
Yes, and there's the advantage of a good deep volley, this time from Courier.
Yes, good feel on the volley, and having played that and seeing Henman play the backhand down the line earlier on, Courier well on top of the net for the second shot. Still hasn't made a good backhand down the line yet.
And you feel that psychologically, yeah, that was a very important game for Henman. Needed to consolidate the break this time around, having failed to do so in the first set. He was twice a break up. If he's going to chip and charge, he's much more effective doing that behind a backhand sliced return.
Yes, it was neither here nor there, that shot. And then having played it, really, he had to, as did Courier, camp on the net, instead of which he hung back. But his feeling obviously was that with the 2-love lead, he really felt that he might be able to take another break of serve here and would have to play aggressively from the word go.
On the left there is Ali Al Fardan, who's the president of the Qatari Squash and Tennis Federation.
I think he virtually played that with the two-handed shot there, Henman, just waiting for the call that never came.
Two 2-1 then. Tim Henman leads second set with the break of serve. But of course, he was twice a break up in the first set. Do you think through the problems of the forehand are because he's possibly been working so hard to improve the backhand?
Well, it very often happens, as I was saying. You just make a slight adjustment, and he may well not have made it, but it sometimes just happens, and as a result the backhand's flowing and he's happy with it, and consequently the forehand just falls away a little bit. But it's not something that cannot be remedied. But I still get the feeling that he's got to hit a few more here to be out of danger against Courier. Traditionally, Courier, of course, is able to win more games on return of serve than Henman, although strikingly Henman wins more points on opponents' first serves than does Courier. He last year averaged 34%, whereas Courier managed only 29, but then it wasn't a spectacular year for Courier.
Courier bidding to be the first American, the first non-European to win this event. Becker, Edberg twice, and Korda, three previous champions. 2-1. Still can't make that backhand down the line for love nor money.
Not even close. And really such a poor return of serve, with Henman in danger of really being a little paralysed, having played such a bad forehand. Courier needed to get the return deep.
Does sometimes look a little awkward when someone gets the ball down to his feet. Weight was on the back foot. So as in the first set, Henman in danger of losing a lead.
And there's not really the feeling about him now that he's going to save it with the big serve. Suddenly a hesitancy, a tentativeness about Henman's play.
Even when he hit that forehand, he thought for a minute, I've missed it, and he hesitated, and he was a little bit back off the net. 2-2 then. Oh, well, that might just be what the doctor ordered.
It certainly had a better ring about it. Metallic rather than wooden, those shots. You've got to wait quite a while Courier prepares to serve, but I must say I'm always a fan of the amount of time that Courier does. He always looks so deliberate. Doesn't always come up with the best delivery, but it always looks like meaning in it.
Six ace from Jim Courier, and he's now put together 3 successive games to move in front in this second set. 3-2 to the American, with Tim Henman serving to save it. 4-5 down in the second set.
Thank you. 15 love. Net first serve.
Oh dear. Well, I hope it's just a false alarm. Well, Courier, I think he might have been a fault. I don't think it was that. But I'm a little surprised they're both playing on. Ah.
40 love.
Well, Henman really keen to get on with it, and quickly too.
Thank you.
Yes, he's not had many easy service games in this match, but that's a love one. And it's 5-all in the second set.
Well, it says a lot for Courier in many ways, because he could well have held up with Henman serving. It would have been in Courier's interest to have held up the play.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Well, Henman heading down to Sydney to play in the Peters International at White City. I suspect that when he gets there, there'll be quite a lot of work on the practice court on the forehand. Event, incidentally, who will be covering with Simon Reed next Friday and Saturday.
30 love.
It's very buoyed up, as of course do most of us, having won that love game immediately on the attack on the first point. You can see he tends to throw the ball a bit behind him, so that he's tending just to hit with a bit of roll, a bit of that control.
Well, that's excellent play from Henman, really blanketing the net, and also a couple of good forehands to get to the net.
Got in very close. Having played the one volley, you can see here, I mean, all over the net like a rash. He's saying to Courier, if you want a lob, you've got it. And that's good play.
Thank you.
Well, that's Enterprise. Coming in behind the service return. And here now is a chance for Henman to move ahead 6-5.
Thank you.
That's terrific play. Well, that double fault at 30 love suddenly looks very expensive as Tim Henman breaks, and he will serve for 1-all, leading now by 6-5 in the second set. Really has been a fascinating final, this. Stay with us, there's more to come from the Qatar Mobile Open. The crowd really up for this match now. Excuse me, losing my voice with all the excitement.
Thank you.
6-5, Henman leads. Second set.
Players are ready. Thank you.
Well, good play by Courier, hitting it deeper and deeper and deeper. Henman just off the boil, though, early on in the rally.
No animosity between the rival sets of fans.
Oh, might need a buffer zone there.
Courier read it and was there, and he's playing a really good game when he needs to. Henman sort of opened the door with a poor forehand on the first point. 3 break-back points.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Generally when the Buffalo's at his most dangerous, when he's just been wounded. There's a break of serve, bounces right back.
There's the centre service judge having to take rapid evasive action. Bit more on the body that time, even though Courier was moving to cover that side. Well, the gods smiling on Henman there.
Yes, no doubt a little lucky, but at the same time he seemed very much in control. Look how low that slice kept, so that to my mind he was always on top once he'd kept it that low.
So it was the 2 forehand errors on the first and last points that were really Henman's undoing, and he's failed to close out the set. And that's twice in both sets that Courier has broken back. Tie-break time.
Well, Courier's tie-break record last year, not very good. 12-1, 12 lost, as opposed to Henman's 26-1, 13 lost. And they've each won 1 here this week. And a string gone. Because I suppose the important tiebreakers for Henman were those against Magnus Gustafsson, not here, but so much, but at Wimbledon last year.
Yes, when he won 2 of them. To become the first British player since Roger Taylor in 1973 to reach the quarterfinals at Wimbledon.
Well, whether Henman thought that he'd actually bumped the ball into the ground or not, but it's certainly not something I would do, is turn my back on an opponent, always threaten him, try and do something.
Oh, gosh. The whole court open.
Now, was he surprised? Just that Courier made the shot, but you can see even here the Courier backhand down the line was always travelling towards the centre of the court, making it really that much easier for Henman.
So the opening 3 points of the tiebreak go against the serve. The American fans getting very enthusiastic now.
I'm not surprised. That's Courier really at his rugged best, when he does seem to have a lot more muscle than Henman.
Strange time to get up and leave, I would have thought. But, terrific backhand from Henman, and cancels out the mini break.
Yes, and where Courier has muscle, Henman has timing. Not really thrashing at that, and Courier certainly got the guts, doing a terrific imitation of Becker here, and he deserves to have come a little closer than that.
2-3. Henman won his tiebreak against Gustafsson, 7-3. Courier his tiebreak, 12-10 against Shen Shalkin. Just cleared some perspiration off the court.
Yes, the way Courier threw himself at it, there may have been a little bit of blood as well. The forehand into a little bit of a groove here, but still pretty short, and Courier actually had time to get a second hand and at least have a go with the backhand.
Changing ends, 3-all, second set tiebreak.
Well, once he had to half volley the return of serve there, Henman was always going to be at a disadvantage. Did well to read this, but Courier was by now a blanket at the net.
Once again, Courier up the mini break. Just 2 points so far with the serve. It's been a match of service breaks, both in the sets themselves and now in the tiebreak. Always put it out, would you believe it? It was there for the taking, and you think back to 2 sitters of volleys he's missed in this tiebreak.
It's almost even smiling, because this was a real gift. He paid the points so well. This retaliation here on the forehand, as good a forehand as we've seen for a while, and Courier playing it short. This, I think, really playing into Henman's hands, because now he was dictating, got it in on the weaker side, covered the obvious shot.
5-all. But of course, if that volley had gone away, it would be 2 set points Henman. But of course, it never happens like that.
No. You hasten to add.
I know you would have told me that. Well, that's a really good half volley from Henman. And it is now set point.
Well, it'll be interesting to see Henman's tactic on this point, because generally speaking, when he's up, he looks to be a little more aggressive, looks to take the net a lot more quickly.
Thank you.
It's long and it's 1 set all. And we don't know what Courier is complaining about. Maybe some noise in the crowd. 1 set all then, as Henman wins the tiebreak. Down 4-3 in the tiebreak and down a set, comes back to win the tiebreak 7-5 and force a deciding set.
Well, so the statistics about tiebreakers played and won all last year, not lying to us. We are now 12-13.
Or 13-13, would it be? 1 all this week?
1 all, that's right, yes.
Well, important, though, that Henman doesn't lose concentration. And I'm sure that's what he's telling himself at the moment. Doesn't get overexcited at having won that second set. This is where the really experienced players pile on the pressure.
15-14.
You sometimes wonder at his inability to make that shot, why he wouldn't just go for a hard shot much more up the middle. But then when you're as good a player as that, you don't tend to have those slightly negative thoughts. You're determined that you can make it.
It's on the line, and so the first game of every set has gone against the serve. And Courier bounces back well from the loss of that second set tiebreak to lead 1-love in the third.
Yes, it's a case, I think, of where statistics really can help, and of course it's one of the reasons why you see coaches taking copious notes, because like coaches in in most sports, and one thinks particularly of the great American sports where statistics are very much adhered to. And you'd get a situation where a coach with Courier playing or having the opportunity to play a two-hander down the line, because he so seldom makes it, the coach would virtually insist on him not going for it. And really, in many instances, the coach would be absolutely right. And so the statistics here of first services lost in each set. Again, somebody would be saying, well, something's got to be done about it. You've got to get a lot more first serves in at the beginning of each set. There's got to be that much more concentration. So they can be used, I think, to good advantage sometimes, statistics.
I'm not a believer in the theory that there are lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Well, they do become a little boring at times.
Yes.
But the players, of course, subscribe to them.
He's made one down the line.
And perhaps answers my theory immediately. Of course, I suppose one thing you don't want to be saying is that because Courier's not got a particularly good tie-break record, I'm not going to beat him easily. I'm going to get to the tie-break and then tackle him.
Yes. Just keep that up your sleeve in reserve.
Like Tom Ocker, the Dutch player who playing team tennis in Canada was paid per game won, so that very often instead of winning a match 6-4, he would perhaps try and see to it that it would go to 7 so that he'd get paid a bit more.
Oh, big forehand from Henman. Suddenly seems to have found that. And here's the chance for him to break back.
And I think the real difference in this forehand now from Henman, he really gets behind it, and then his momentum, his weight is going forwards towards the ball rather than swinging across it as he has been doing.
Oh, Courier really using every inch of the court there.
Particularly fine cross-court forehand. You can see that Henman really had to dig it out. It's a bit like Henman's backhand approach that keeps low sometimes on the slice. So Courier was able to keep his low.
Advantage Courier.
like to pick him up and by the scruff of the neck and throttle him and say, don't play these drop shots.
And Courier really had read this one before, hadn't he? He'd memorized it. Even so, I thought Henman might still have won the point. I think he'd just given up the ghost. He was so disgusted with his drop shot. But this was a makeable shot here. Courier was out of position.
Love 2, final set. This is becoming a little serious now for Henman. Can't afford to let Courier get a double break. Start really racing away with this final set. Oh gosh. Yes, sensing disaster. Certainly the Union Jack there, held in the SOS position. Three points for 3 love.
Better late than never, but as you can see, Courier is really showing his teeth now.
30-40.
And it's one of the problems, of course, with serve volleying behind second serves at a stage like this. Courier is bound to be that much more aggressive. Earlier on, Henman was doing very little of it.
Oh, it's a double fault, and the clenched wrist from Courier. 2 breaks up now in the final set, and just when Henman seemed to have really fought his way back into the match by taking the second set tiebreak, it's getting away from him again. Battled his way back. 3 love to Courier, final set.
Thank you.
Well, a sensationally tight point this by Courier. Depth, and again right on top, anticipating, and a beautiful angled volley. How to keep the pressure up. Certainly not irretrievable, because he hasn't expended that much energy. A little frustration will have worn him down, but the rallies haven't been that long.
Thank you.
He really does look now like a man who has the bit between his teeth. And that rubs salt into the wounds. A Love service game, and Jim Courier has come on strong in a big way in this final set. Love 4.
Yes, you can tell what he's thinking, because earlier on he might not even have chosen to run down that shot. These are very positive messages by Henman.
Yes, that's a good riposte. A love service game of his own, but still Courier up by 2 breaks. 4-1 final set. Been a match fit to place before the ruling family of Qatar. (4-1) final set. Courier leading. Looking for confirmation of the call from Rudy Berger and getting it.
Yes, just thinking of that backhand of Henman's. It's really a shot that he likes to play. It just never plays. Well, I was going to say 2, but certainly not 3 in a row the same. He really needs some instructional lessons from Stefan Edberg on how to play the backhand slice.
Three love service games in a row, and Courier is within 1 game of victory.
Thank you. 15 love.
Well, this is good to see, because just when you think all the stuffing's out of the turkey, you find a little bit more.
Right, at least he's going down, if he is going to go down, with guns blazing.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for the ball, please. Thanks.
Somebody wanted a souvenir of the match.
Yes, it surely must be a case of a salvage operation. Try and at least get as much out of what is left of the match here as possible.
And certainly, it's good to see him striking the forehand so much better in the latter stages of the match than in the early stages. But the damage was done at the start of this set, those first 4 games, which mean that Jim Courier will be coming out to serve for the title at 5-2.
Important messages to get across, because opponents take notes, make mental notes of just what happens if they're got a player in a position like Courier's got Henman here. And the very fact that Henman is resisting well, showing confidence, even in a pretty desperate situation, is a very positive message to give to Courier for the next time they should meet. On the other hand, 2 service breaks, it's been done before, surely.
Yeah, I seem to remember a certain Wimbledon semi-final last year.
Exactly.
And that too is in the final set. So can Henman do a Washington and come back from a seemingly hopeless situation? 5-2, Courier serving for the title.
Thank you.
He's really up to his first serve percentage in this third set.
Funnily enough, I was going to say that I can hardly remember him making an unforced error in this third set, and then he makes that one. "12 points in a row he'd won on serve. Sign of a man who has been at the very pinnacle of the game, that he's played this final set so well.
Thank you.
2 match points for Jim Courier.
Thank you. Thank you.
A 20th career title for Jim Courier. Tim Henman will have to wait to see if he can win his first. Wonderfully competitive match for 2 sets, and then maybe Henman relaxed a little fatally, but there's no doubt that this man really raised his game in the final set.
Yes, he has this ability to start the year well, but Henman at least can go away here, not only with the runners-up check, but with the feeling that he was able to do what Bruguera was not able to do, what Muster was not able to do. Both
will move to a career high, probably around about the 24 mark. We'll find out tomorrow. And he will head on down to Sydney, where we will be covering the semi-finals and final next Friday and Saturday. It will be through with Simon Reed, and then Bob and I will be joining them for the Australian Open. Bob Hewitt and I, starting a week on Monday.
Yes, well, the smile there indicative, of course, of Henman's first final on the ATP Tour. I think the last final he won would have been a Challenger tournament some time ago, October '95, I believe. So it's a step in the right direction.
Yes, that's right. The last international final, of course, he did win the British National Championships over Greg Ruzetsky. So there we are. Our next tennis is at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon UK time, the semi-finals of the Peters International in Sydney. Thanks for your company this week. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the